Candace Owens just lit the fuse, and the internet did the rest. From Waffle-gate to a Netflix lifestyle show some call curated to the molecule, Meghan Markle's authentic era is either finally here or the most polished performance yet. Tonight, we test the receipts, and you decide Meghan Markle built a whole new life around small, loving details. Her garden in Montecito, a stovetop simmer, a plate that looks like a memory. But the louder the picture gets, the sharper the question becomes. Is Meghan Markle showing us herself, or showing us a version of Meghan Markle that can survive the internet? When, with love, Meghan hit Netflix, the promise was simple. Meghan Markle, up close, doing the everyday things she says she loves. Then the noise started. Season trailers, guest cameos, Marie Kondo neat kitchens, and a chorus of commentators debating whether Meghan Markle feels natural on camera or relentlessly curated. Even a cheerful St. Patrick's Day waffle clip turned into a magnifying glass moment, while that nightly time-capsule email ritual for Archie and Lilibet split the room between tender and tactical. That polarity is the story. Supporters see Meghan Markle crafting joy in a world that needs it. Critics see a brand that's too glossy to be believed. Somewhere between those two frames is the real person. And tonight, we're testing where the picture holds and where it cracks. Meghan Markle invites you into a sun-washed California bubble where dinner smells like memory and the table looks editorial. On With Love, Meghan Markle hosts friends at a sprawling Montecito estate, sharing easy recipes, gardening notes, and little hosting rituals she swears anyone can pull off. The show's own page frames it just like that. Meghan Markle, open kitchen, familiar faces, a lifestyle you can copy in pieces. Then Season 2 arrived, and the promise got bigger. Meghan Markle welcomed names like Tan France and Chrissy Teigen alongside chefs and creators, positioning herself as both home cook and connector inside Montecito's orbit. The stated goal: doable projects, bold flavors, small DIYs that trade perfection for joy. That's the pitch. Simple, warm, repeatable. But viewers didn't just watch the food, they watched the framing. The way Meghan Markle plates, the way the camera lingers, the immaculate rooms that whisper California calm. For fans, it's aspirational and soothing. For skeptics, it's proof that the real product is the image. And because Meghan Markle is Meghan Markle, every neatly folded napkin becomes a referendum on authenticity, especially when you know the setting is Montecito and the guests are household names for a reason. That's where our story really starts, at the exact point where an inviting lifestyle turns into a debate about what's staged and what's sincere. And if you think the show is the only spark, it isn't. The aftershocks show up everywhere. But that wasn't the whole story. Before With Love, Meghan, there was Archetypes. Meghan Markle stepped up to a big money platform and promised conversations that would peel back labels and champion women. Meghan Markle booked A-list guests, hit the charts early, and sounded polished from intro to sign-off. But that polish became the point. Critics said the cadence felt rehearsed, that Meghan Markle controlled the narrative so tightly it left little oxygen for surprise. When the deal ended, the takeaway stuck to Meghan like glue. Beautiful packaging, not enough proof. That exit mattered because it rewired expectations. Viewers came into the Netflix era primed to ask, is this Meghan Markle being candid or careful? Every grateful pause, every soft laugh, every perfectly worded story got processed through the same filter created by Archetypes. Supporters argued that Meghan Markle finally had room to be herself without a newsroom clock ticking. Skeptics countered that the guardrails were still there, only prettier. This is why the lifestyle pivot drew such heat. After a high-profile audio chapter, a slow-living, open kitchen chapter looked either smart or strategic, depending on how you feel about Meghan Markle. If you believe in the vision, the move fits. Smaller tables, bigger heart. If you don't, it reads like a brand reset designed to outrun old headlines. Either way, the reputation forged during Archetypes now shadows every scene, and Meghan Markle has to clear that bar in real time. And that's the tension powering the next beat. Once a public decides you're scripted, even your quiet moments must convince them otherwise. But that wasn't the whole story. After the podcasts and the documentaries, Meghan Markle shifted into something quieter. A kitchen label, handwritten tags, sunlit photos that looked like a postcard from Montecito. First came small batch teasers, jam jars, embossed cards, the kind of gifting that says Meghan Markle is building a home brand one ribbon at a time. Supporters saw intention. Skeptics saw another layer of careful styling. Either way, the signal was clear. Meghan Markle wanted her name to live on shelves and in pantries, not just in headlines. Then the rebrand chatter started. A new name, a sharper mood board, and a story about roots and ritual. Meghan Markle leaned into craft. Spreads, tableware ideas, cozy hosting sets that fit perfectly with Love Meghan. It didn't feel random. It felt like a ladder. Show the life, share the products, keep the look consistent. If you already like Meghan Markle's vibe, you finally had a way to bring a piece of it home. If you don't, it read as another chapter in the autobiography of curation. What made the pivot stick was the overlap. On screen, Meghan Markle plated and poured. Off screen, Meghan Markle stamped and sealed. The aesthetic matched almost too well. The handwriting, the florals, the amber glass. Fans called it coherent branding. Critics called it engineered authenticity. And because it's Meghan Markle, every bow on a jar became a Rorschach test for whether you believe the person or the persona. That friction sets up the next flashpoint perfectly. A tiny holiday clip, a plate of themed waffles, and a familiar argument about what's natural and what's staged. But that wasn't the whole story. It was supposed to be charming. Meghan Markle posted a St. Patrick's Day moment, green waffles, a quick kitchen peek, a cheerful nod to family breakfast. Within hours, the clip turned into a microscope. Viewers paused and replayed. They questioned the batter, the plating, the background details. What began as a sweet slice of life from Meghan Markle became another referendum on whether Meghan Markle ever does anything uncalculated. The pattern felt familiar. Supporters said it was harmless and cute, that Meghan Markle has every right to stage good lighting and a tidy counter like any other creator. Skeptics argued the staging proved the point, that even Meghan Markle's casual mornings look like a storyboard. It wasn't the waffles, it was the idea that the simplest Meghan Markle moment still reads like marketing. And that is how tiny posts become big arguments. The smaller the scene, the louder the take. If you lean in her favor, you see a mom making a holiday breakfast. If you don't, you see a brand gently polishing its edges. Either way, the outcome is the same. Meghan Markle trends, not for a policy speech or a charity rollout, but for a plate that should have disappeared in 24 hours. That's the micro-controversy economy Meghan Markle lives in. Every clip is evidence, every comment is a verdict. Which is exactly why the next set of voices, on-air critics who study presentation for a living, landed as hard as they did. But that wasn't the whole story. When broadcasters weighed in, the conversation sharpened. Esther Craicu watched with love Meghan and said exactly what a chunk of viewers were already feeling. Meghan Markle looks composed, but not compelling. Esther Craicu's take wasn't about recipes. It was about presence. Does Meghan Markle surprise you? Does she relax on camera? Or does every smile arrive perfectly on time? To Esther Craicu, the vibe felt studied, the cadence too controlled, the lessons too light to linger. That critique hit because it wasn't a tabloid whisper. It was delivery analysis. Meghan Markle speaks with poise, clips her sentences clean, and keeps her posture inside the frame like a person who knows lighting, lenses, and headlines. Supporters call that professionalism. Detractors call it performance. And when a presenter like Esther Craicu says, "I didn't learn anything," it feeds a very specific suspicion that Meghan Markle is great at telling us who she is, but less comfortable letting us find out. Others echoed the rhythm argument. They pointed to the immaculate rooms, the orchestral music beds, the editing that lands like a soft exhale. Meghan Markle, they argued, is most convincing when something messy sneaks in. A joke that breaks, a dish that flops, a friend who interrupts the take. Without those creases, Meghan Markle can look like a brand ambassador walking through her own life, which makes some viewers lean out even as they admire the polish. That's why a tiny detail outside the studio, one bedtime ritual Meghan Markle says she keeps for Archie and Lilibet, suddenly mattered. It sounded intimate, almost old-fashioned. It also sounded, to skeptics, like another polished talking point. And that takes us to the next chapter, where a mother's nightly habit becomes a lightning rod for belief. But that wasn't the whole story. In an interview, Meghan Markle described a ritual that sounds almost analog in a digital life. Every night, Meghan Markle writes emails to Archie and Lilibet so they'll have a record of who their mother was before the world told them. On its face, it's tender. Meghan Markle capturing the small weather of a day, the smell of a recipe, a lesson she doesn't want to lose to sleep. For people who like Meghan Markle, this is the good stuff. Not a logo, not a launch, just a mom choosing memory over performance. The pushback came instantly. Skeptics argued the phrasing felt built for headlines, that the details sounded made for PR, intimate, quotable, and just polished enough to trend. They heard the cadence, noticed how neatly the habit dovetailed with love, Meghan, and said the quiet part out loud. If Meghan Markle is telling us about a private ritual, is it still private? Or is it brand architecture wearing a bedtime sweater? That's the gravity field Meghan Markle moves through now. A soft confession lands like a campaign. A warm habit reads like copy. Even if Meghan Markle means every word, the public can't stop running it through the authenticity test that follows her from podcast to pantry. Supporters argue that transparency is exactly what everyone asked for. Detractors insist that transparency has a camera angle. Meghan Markle, stuck in the middle, has to prove that intimacy can exist inside a story people don't trust. Which raises a harder question. Why do these debates cling to Meghan Markle more than to most? Is it the title, the history, the California gloss, or a mismatch between what people expect and what lifestyle TV can actually deliver? But that wasn't the whole story. With most celebrities, a pretty kitchen reel is just that, a pretty kitchen reel. With Meghan Markle, it becomes a cultural exam. Part of it is the title. Duchess of Sussex isn't just a line under Meghan Markle's name, it's a story generator. The crown carries rules, reverence, and a century of expectations about how someone should speak, dress, and disappear between public duties. When Meghan Markle stepped out of that script, she didn't stop being royal in people's minds. She became a royal who opted into modern celebrity. That contradiction is gasoline on any small spark. Then there's the California gloss. Montecito isn't neutral. When you say Meghan Markle and Montecito in the same sentence, people picture quiet gates, perfect hedges, the kind of stillness you can only afford. So when Meghan Markle plates waffles or wraps jam jars, viewers don't just see ingredients. They see class, distance, and a lifestyle most will never touch. Aspirational to some, alienating to others. It means even when Meghan Markle talks about ordinary rituals, the room hears privilege humming underneath. Add the parasocial math. People watched Meghan Markle meet Prince Harry, saw a wedding beamed worldwide, saw the break from palace life, then saw a fresh media machine rise in California. They feel like they've watched all the chapters, so they're confident guessing what's real. If Meghan Markle looks polished, they say it's calculated. If Meghan Markle looks messy, they say it's crafted mess. Either way, the viewer feels right, because the story they've built about Meghan Markle is already complete. There's also the genre problem. Lifestyle TV promises real life, but the craft is inherently curated. Lighting, lenses, sound beds, second takes, it's a spell. The better the production, the less spontaneous it feels. So when Meghan Markle excels at production, she fails the surprise me test. That's not because Meghan Markle is uniquely insincere. It's because lifestyle shows, at their best, erase friction. And friction is what convinces skeptical audiences that a person is unguarded. Finally, the Harry factor. Prince Harry represents history, duty, and rebellion all at once. Any choice Meghan Markle makes still bounces off Prince Harry's narrative. The veteran, the advocate, the son who stepped back. When Meghan Markle launches a show or a brand, critics frame it as a counter move in the couple's bigger chess game. Supporters say Meghan Markle is building on her own terms. Detractors say Meghan Markle is engineering the optics. The same act reads as creation or calculation depending on how you read Prince Harry. Put it together and you get the stickiness. A duchess in a creator economy, a mother in Montecito, a TV format that edits the very chaos people find convincing. That's why the bar for Meghan Markle is higher. To shift the reading, Meghan Markle needs more than polish. She needs outcomes and moments that argue for themselves. Which raises the last question we have to test tonight. What, if anything, would actually change the narrative for Meghan Markle? But that wasn't the whole story. If the problem is polish, the solution isn't better gloss, it's proof. Meghan Markle doesn't need a louder pitch. She needs moments that make their own argument. The first lever is outcome. When Meghan Markle backs a project that helps someone outside the Montecito bubble, measurable jobs, scholarships, community kitchens, results talk louder than any voiceover. 100 plates on a table look pretty. 100 families fed because Meghan Markle funded a weekly program looks undeniable. The second lever is imperfection that isn't edited to be cute. Audiences don't want a blooper reel. They want the moment Meghan Markle forgets she's on camera and stays anyway. A recipe that actually goes wrong. A guest who disagrees with Meghan Markle and changes her mind. A friend who interrupts. And instead of restarting, Meghan Markle lets the wrinkle live in the episode. Those are the beats that break the always performing spell because they cost control, and people can feel the cost. The third lever is third-party validation that isn't tethered to celebrity. When a small-town baker says Meghan Markle funded their new ovens and never asked for a post, it means more than 10 famous cameos. When a veteran-led garden project thrives because Meghan Markle kept sending checks after the cameras left, the narrative shifts without a single sunlit montage. Meghan Markle doesn't have to announce it. The people affected will do it for her. The final lever is time. Reputation doesn't pivot on a rollout. It drifts on consistency. If Meghan Markle keeps showing the same values in different rooms, quiet follow-through, visible humility, outcomes that outlive an episode, the audience recalibrates. Not because Meghan Markle argued them into it, but because she stopped arguing at all. And that brings us home to the question that has chased Meghan Markle through every kitchen and headline. Can a person who's been branded for years ever feel unbranded again? Meghan Markle lives at the intersection of title and timeline, Duchess of Sussex in a creator economy, Prince Harry at her side, Montecito in the background, cameras in the kitchen. Fans see a builder, a woman trying to turn small rituals into a generous life. Critics see a strategist, a woman translating everything into brand language. Both groups are watching the same scenes. The difference is the story they bring to Meghan Markle before the episode starts. Maybe that's why even waffles turn into a referendum. Meghan Markle's wins and missteps play at a scale where the ordinary looks suspicious and the polished looks inevitable. The truth probably isn't as cinematic as either camp thinks. It's a person with a complicated past, trying to make pretty moments while the internet tests them for cracks. If Meghan Markle wants that test to end, the answer isn't a sharper trailer. It's quiet proof that doesn't need one. So where does that leave us? With a question only time can settle. When the camera lingers and the music fades, will Meghan Markle let the unscripted parts stay in the shot or keep sanding the edges until nothing real can catch? Either choice tells us who Meghan Markle is. And either way, the world will be watching.